People of the internet, welcome to another episode of the show. Coming up in today's episode, we talk about Baker Mayfield. Is he even going to start for the Panthers?
What?
Kyler Murray's in discussions of new contracts. Deshaun
Err.
Watson has his thing.
Deshaun Watson just has a little hiccup
Yeah,
with his things.
Vince Russo has outbreaks, and I'm not going to tell you what else is left. You're going to have to stay and watch, grab a cold beverage, sit back and relax. Another episode of the show starts now.
Boom.
Boom. I should have wrote that down because I had a better thing.
That's cool.
I was going to say football season is upon us for everybody but Deshaun Watson.
Well, that's we'll get to that. But what we're starting with. Let's talk about let's talk about the Cowboys cornerback. This sorry ass.
Yeah, we can start there. So, Trayvon Diggs, the star cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys, he deactivated his Twitter account
As well as you should have.
over the week, or I don't know, within the last couple of days. Um, the story on this is the Cowboys uploaded. Now let me tell you that we're talking about practice here.
Practice.
Practice. We're talking about practice.
Not talking
Okay,
about the game we love, not the game we die for.
no, but practice.
Practice. Okay.
Yeah, we're in practice. Shirts and helmets, shoulder pads,
And those stupid ass
no
little
contact.
helmet protectors.
Yeah, no contact. And he's lined up against Trayvon Diggs. I'm sorry, he's lined up against CD Lamb, number one receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. So we're ones on ones, and CD Lamb, and as he should, blew right past him.
Yeah,
And
that's not too bad.
so that's acceptable. Again, this is practice, so there's no contact. And CD Lamb's one of the fastest people on the team, arguably one of the fastest people in the league. So you can you can let that one pass. And we're talking
That
about practice.
and the sun probably got in Trayvon's eyes, right? Come on, he got some sweat in his
Probably.
eyes. CD got a little jump on him. Trayvon's good.
Yeah. So then there was
Oh, another guy.
another guy,
Oh
and this
shit.
is a practice squad guy. And again, same scenario. We're in practice, no contact, shirts, helmets, yada yada yada. And this other guy blows right past him too,
Oh no.
and that one kind of went viral because
It
again,
was a
everybody can.
nobody.
Yes,
It was a nobody.
yeah. So his name is Simi Fehoko, I guess that's his name.
Okay.
And yeah, he just blew right past him, and um, as you can expect, when when a receiver that's from the practice squad blows right past your all-pro corner, people of the internet are going to have something to say about it. So,
So this is like Darrell
yeah.
Rivas getting blown out by some practice squad schlub.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, what we don't know, so yeah, that's why he deactivated his Twitter account. Now, what we don't know is maybe this guy was just like a hidden gem, you know? Maybe he's a star and we just didn't know he was a star, and then that was his breakout moment. Maybe that's how he becomes a household name.
Really? That's what we're gonna hang our hat on. What if this Trayvon Diggs guy isn't as great as everybody's saying he is?
Well, I mean, he had a good season last year.
He had a good season.
He he was the easily the top cornerback last year. He's all pro. He was in conversations for MVP, defensive MVP, of course.
For one season.
He for one season. Yeah,
Okay.
finished the season with 11 picks. He was pretty much the shutdown corner for the Cowboys. And Cowboys these days aren't synonymous with defense, so you can. I mean, they're kind of getting back to it, but you can imagine how the people of the internet kind of shit all over him for this, which
Sure.
caused him to delete his Twitter. Now, I don't blame him for that because, first of all, Twitter is a cesspool. Follow us on Twitter, by the way. And second of all, what is like that's just distracting him from doing whatever he needs to do to get better.
I don't know, man. I gotta question the mental toughness. He gets beat in practice, and a couple negative comments, and he deletes his Twitter. What the fuck's that all about? Now, first of all, I don't think anybody should have a Twitter to begin with. So let's start off with that. But if you're gonna have one, I mean, you can either strap on your big boy panties and accept the criticism that's going to come to you as a public figure, or not have one in the first place. Just deleting it after the fact is just kind of a bitch move to me.
Well, I mean, you gotta have social media presence, especially
Do you?
like you said, when you're a public figure. These people
What
have brands to uphold.
what
They're
brand
not
does
just.
no? Hold on. What brand does Trayvon Diggs have? He's a
I don't
cornerback
know.
for the Dallas Cowboys. There's no fucking Twitter brand.
I bet you he does have something else, something he sells.
Maybe Nike, but that's an endorsement of him being a player. It has nothing to do with him being a Twitter whatever.
No, I'm not talking about Twitter specifically. I'm just talking about as a whole, you need a social media presence.
No, we'll agree to disagree on that one.
But it's always funny how these people they'll delete Instagram or they'll delete Twitter, but they'll leave their Instagram always, or for the most part,
Uh,
a lot of the times. Some people will delete Instagram too, but most of the times it's just Twitter because, again, Twitter is a cesspool.
it
But
is a
follow us
cesspool.
on Twitter.
Definitely
I
follow
mean,
us on Twitter. The
yeah,
cesspool.
I mean it's just so toxic on Twitter.
But you should follow us.
You got yeah, you got these keyboard warriors who think they're big behind the keyboard. You get them you get them face to face, and then they're not as big, not half as bad as they talk on Twitter.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. Aside from our Twitter account, I have to kind of stay away from that bullshit. I just think
Well,
if it's fucking. First of all, it's the internet. So you're trying to insulate yourself from little mean comments on the internet. What I'd be more worried about is what Jerry Jones is going to say, because that motherfucker's crazy.
what Jerry Jones should say is we're talking about practice,
I don't know.
and they did have a press conference. I didn't
See,
listen
they had
to
a
it, but
press conference about this shit.
no, not about it.
Oh,
Just they had their weekly press conference. I didn't listen to it, but they did have it, so I'm sure they addressed it at that point.
so they had a press conference. You don't know if they say anything or not. Okay.
I'm saying I'm sure they did. I just didn't watch it. Those press conferences, uh, they never say anything of substance in them.
They really don't.
They just they give you political talk, and by political I mean they say all the right things.
Politically correct.
Yeah, yeah. They're never gonna say, "Oh man, he might not even be on the team tomorrow if that happens again." They're never gonna say anything like that. They're just gonna be like, "Oh, he's working on it," and
Well, see that goes to my earlier point though. Jerry Jones would fucking say that. Like Mike McCarthy could be saying that, "Oh, Trayvon Diggs is the greatest thing ever," blah 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 blah, and then Jerry Jones gets in front of the microphone like, "I don't know what we're going to do about Trayvon Diggs." Might need to see if Namdi Asamoah wants to come out of retirement.
Like he's yeah, that's what you gotta like about him. He doesn't hold back.
No, I don't. I love Jerry Jones. I think I think he's a terrible team manager, but I appreciate the fact that he knows what he wants and he's not afraid to say what he wants. He's not afraid to stick to those guns, and right or wrong, he'll die on that sword. But yeah, I'd be more concerned about that than or his opinion than fucking some fat schlub like myself making fun of him for getting beat out by a practice squad receiver. But that's just me.
Who damn well knows that they would get beat too if
Right.
they were to try.
Right. Yeah, maybe he wasn't
Like,
trying. It was practice. And, the practice squad guy, he's fighting for a job. Trayvon Diggs, you said he was the best player or best defensive player.
yeah, so I mean, we'll definitely see. I'm gonna write this guy's name down. When the Cowboys have their first preseason game, we'll definitely see. And again, he could just be like, I don't know, the next coming of Cooper Cup. It's just a
Yeah.
coincidence that they're both white, but
What's the guy's name?
uh, so, I forgot already. Simi Fehoko. That is Simifehoko.
That ain't white. That ain't white. What the hell are you talking about? Simi
I mean,
Fehoko.
maybe he's
He's albino.
Polynesian, but he's definitely light skinned.
Simi
So we'll see.
Fehoko.
But again, I'm gonna see him in the preseason, but it could just be. Oh, yeah, he's not white. He's just light.
Yeah, told you.
Okay, so no longer can I say Cooper Cup. I mean, he looks pretty white though.
Debo Sweeney. He kind of looks like Sam Bradford.
See?
If I was gonna, I mean, if we're gonna match complexions, I guess.
But anyway, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on him. He could just be. That could have been the start of his breakout season. Um, I don't know if he's again. I don't know anything about him.
He was born in Salt Lake City, Utah. He
I'm
went
talking about how long he's been in the league and stuff. Anyway, we'll move on. That's
2021
enough.
to present is when he's been in the league.
So he's played a year.
Yeah. Let's see. Professional career. He was selected by the Dallas Cowboys in the 5th round of the 2021 draft. He signed a 4-year rookie contract in May 2021. I don't really see stats. Maybe he didn't play.
Oh, see, he's So yeah, that could just been the start of a breakout career.
Oh, he played in Stanford.
Anyway, we can move on. We're boring the people here.
Are we?
Let's-
This is probably the most attention Simi Fehoko will ever get in his life. And you're saying that we're boring the people?
No one knows who he is.
Hey,
No one
everybody,
cares.
put audience in the chat or in the comments. Put your favorite Simi Fehoko play.
Moment.
Yeah,
And don't say the one with him burning Trayvon Diggs in practice.
Yeah, we already said
It's
that.
got to be a different moment.
It's got to be a different. Your favorite Simi Fehoko moment, aside from that. Just put it in the comments. All right. So what's next on the agenda?
So we talked about Trayvon Diggs. We could talk about Kyler Murray.
Oh,
He's in the news as well.
yeah, yeah. He was in the news. Um, so this is his contract, right? He just signed a $230.5 million contract, so it had to be, half bigger than Deshaun Watson's, kind of like that.
Well, well, yeah, he was the latest one to sign a contract, so
Uh,
naturally it's going to be a bigger contract than the other person.
of course, but it's only like $500,000. Yeah, I mean that's a petty amount.
I don't think it matters.
No, I guess not.
And that's one. Number two, I don't think they were taking into account Deshaun Watson's pay when they were negotiating his contract, other than the fact that I
They
want it
had
to be
to because
more.
Deshaun Watson had the contract first, so they had to take his into account, regardless of whether or
I'm
not
just,
they wanted to. They had to because the Browns drove the quarterback market up,
well, I'm saying, yeah, other than that fact, I don't think they were thinking, oh, we just got to beat Deshaun Watson.
but they had to.
Yeah, but not because it was him, just because it was the biggest number, it was
Yeah.
the newest number.
So yeah, so he signed $230.5 million contract. At the time when he signed, keep in mind that Kyler Murray signed and agreed to this contract. When it was first reported, he had to study for 4 hours a week. 4 hours a week.
Right, so he's sitting down signing this contract. Oh, let me just sign away. This is run of the mill stuff. Oh, what's this? There's an what's this? What's this page stapled at the back? Addendum. Oh, we gotta study 4 hours a week.
There's no addendum. You know his agent. Come on. His agent read
They-
it. His agent agreed to it. Kyler Murray's not going to fucking read the shit himself. That's why he has an agent.
Right.
So he agreed to this contract that said he had to study. Now keep in mind, $230 million a year, and this motherfucker can't study for 4 hours a week independently.
Well, it wasn't. That's not the story there.
No,
That he doesn't study. I'm. Yeah, I think the story is number one.
I think that's a story.
Well, there's a whole thing.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
That's
ahead.
that's for the whole thing. So we should tell you that the Cardinals they went ahead and took that out of the contract.
Yeah, the Cardinals being the
Um,
biggest pussy team organization ever, they took out the contract that contract stipulation that Kyler Murray signed and agreed to. He signed it. He put his name on it. He said, "Yeah, that works for me." But go ahead. I'm sorry.
right. So there's two things here. Um, or this is my two takeaways from it. Number
Yep.
one, the Cardinals don't think he studies,
Clearly.
and so they put that in the contract. But and then the other thing is he has this aura over him now that he doesn't study. Um, but he pretty much came out and said, I find it amusing. Or let me see if I can get the specific quote. He basically says that the whole thing was false.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, because
Says disrespectful to that anybody would question my study, whatever. Now keep in mind, this motherfucker, this dumb motherfucker, signed the fucking contract. His stupid ass signed it. He put his name on the thing, right? Right, because you know the last thing it said, like you had to fucking study for 4 hours a week, not 4 hours a day. So that means 1 hour a day you gotta study. Not even for 7 days a week, for 4 days, for 230 goddamn $1 million.
Right. But it it is kind of I kind of do take his side a little bit in the fact that he's like to do what I do because like he's undersized as a
Mm-hmm.
quarterback. So
But he's not the
if
first
he's
one.
doing
Drew Brees was undersized.
okay, but I'm saying if he's let's say he's not studying, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's had pretty good seasons his first couple seasons in the league. So if he's not studying and he's still beating everybody, then
But he's not. He
you
didn't
know
beat the Rams.
he didn't beat the Rams. But
So I mean,
that's it's a
he's
team
not
effort
beating
there.
almost everybody. They were didn't they just squeak into the playoffs like one year?
Yeah, they started out like 10-0 and then backed their way into the playoffs.
So I mean, he's not.
But was he not studying for the first 10-0 games or just the back half of the games that they were losing? Which ones were he not studying for?
I would say all of it.
Okay, so he wasn't
So
studying and they went
so
10 and
yeah
0.
so they started playing. So they started playing really well, and they got film on him, and he's not improving. I say that's plausible.
So,
I mean, there's a reason. You don't just put shit in there to like. You don't put something like that in there unless there's a reason for it. Especially in today's day and age. And they knew like the backlash that would happen because anytime you hold certain people accountable, and it's just automatically a certain category.
yeah, so his last 3 seasons in the league, 24 and 10 last year, touchdowns, 26 and 12, 20 and 12. So, 12, 12, 10 interceptions. Not bad. So you're saying he's doing all this and he's not studying? So,
So well, how good would he be if he did study?
well, I'm just saying he's
Could
got
they
to be
beat
doing some kind of
could they
studying.
beat the Rams if he fucking put in like an extra 4 hours a week of studying?
No one beat the Rams. They won the Super Bowl.
I'm just
Did Joe
saying.
Burrow not study?
No, he didn't.
And Tom Brady, he lives in the study room.
Well, if there was an issue with Tom Brady studying or Joe Burrow studying, that they would put that in the contract too. I'll have you remember Eddie Lacy. That motherfucker was so fat that they had to put in a weight clause.
Oh, he's he checked. Speaking of which, he checked in at 280 pounds for camp
Yeah.
this
So
season.
Trent Brown, I think he had a similar. He had a weight loss thing. So is that wrong?
Is it wrong to have it in there?
I
I
mean,
mean, you shouldn't need to have it in there. You either, as a
you
professional,
shouldn't.
you should.
You shouldn't have it, but apparently some people can't fucking take care of themselves. And I think that's the whole point. Kyler Murray is not mature enough at this stage in his career to fucking keep his nose to the grindstone. I think that's
Okay,
all it is.
so
So all you
why do
gotta
you?
do is study for
Why?
four fucking hours a week for 230 goddamn $1 million a year. How is that even an issue? Let me
How is
clean
it? Why
let
is
me
it?
clean
Why are you
toilets for
giving?
4 hours a week.
Why are you giving $230 million a year to someone or a contract to someone you think doesn't have a worth ethic to study?
Well, that's a great question. I My thought would be is that they do think that he's a franchise quarterback. It's just that his head's up his ass. I don't know.
See, yeah, you can't
Because
teach.
there's maturity and ethic, you know, criticisms or comments that seem to be coming out of there in regards to Murray. So is he? I don't know him, but
Well, he was two sports.
that don't mean
He
shit.
almost got drafted to the and MLB. My God.
We knew people that played two sports too, and they were fucking immature as shit. That don't mean nothing.
Well, I'm just saying, there's each side can be blamed here because
I think,
if you think he's got the kind of an issue, then you shouldn't be giving him such a contract.
yeah, I kind of agree with that. But if it was going to be an issue, then the motherfucker shouldn't have signed it and then bitched about it later. And that's exactly what happened. He was all cool with it until the little Twitter mobs started
Well,
voicing
no,
their
no,
opinion.
no. So how that came out was he signed the contract. He didn't say anything. He signed the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of the guys that do the breaking news stuff, they said, "Here's this contract. Oh, this is in the contract." Then everybody started to get on it. It's like, what? This is in the contract. Then Kyler Murray had to come out and say something because, like, he
You
didn't
didn't
say
have to
anything.
say shit. You could have just kept it rolling. He agreed to it.
I mean,
Like,
he didn't like take to Twitter and talk about it. He talked about it at the practice,
yeah, but he said
so
after
you
the
know
fact.
there's
He said
talking
after the
about him.
fact it was disrespectful to question his study habits or whatever. But the motherfucker agreed to extra study time because apparently everybody agrees that he doesn't study enough.
Now, we've been talking about this Kyler Murray study thing, and you know what we didn't mention?
What's that?
His race. We were
Oh,
talking about his character. Now, on
that's
the other side of that, Warren Moon, he thinks this is a race thing.
okay.
So he pretty much came out and said, um,
How is it a race thing if the motherfucker is getting 230? He's getting the richest quarterback contract to date. So how is it a race thing?
so I don't know. He kind of did an interview with, I guess Sports Illustrated,
Uh
or
huh.
maybe no. He talked to TMZ Sports, and he pretty much said that this addendum was a slap in the face to all African American quarterbacks. He went on to say it's something we were accused of back in the day. And again, when we were talking about this, we never said anything about race. Um, and
Right.
you don't hear anyway. We'll get through it, and then we'll talk about it. Um, Back in the day, they didn't let us play. Um, they said that we were lazy, that we didn't study, that we couldn't be leaders, that we weren't smart.
Isn't
So all
Warren
this,
Moon a Hall of Fame quarterback?
he is.
Okay. Okay.
Um, he says all those different things just kind of came to the surface after we had put it all to bed over the years, and just because of this deal that's gone between Calmer, it's in Arizona, so yeah, very embarrassing. Um, and then he went on to say the damage has been done. He'll have this riding over his head for the rest of his career, anytime he does something wrong, people are gonna say, "Oh, it's because of that thing," which is true. That
Hold on.
part,
Does does Deshaun Watson have a study clause?
oh, he's got his
Hold
own
on, hold on.
issues.
Let's keep it to the facts. Let's keep it to the context of the Kyler Murray thing. Does he have a study clause? Does
He does
Lamar
not.
does Lamar Jackson?
He does not.
Did who fuck, who's the black quarterbacks? Tua? He's not black, but I mean
He's not black. Does
the,
Patrick
the,
Mahomes? No.
the study clause. So I mean there's one fucking study clause in all of 32 teams, and it just so happens to be a black dude.
Yeah.
Do you think would there be as much backlash if it was Paxton Lynch?
Well, I mean,
Well, first of all,
this is
Paxton Lynch wouldn't get $230 fucking million dollars.
yeah, and this is kind of uncharted territory anyway, because I think this is like the first time something like that has been put in a contract.
That's not true.
So,
That's not true. So we talked about the weight loss clauses. Did you know that there's a point in time where the Bengals rookies, their contracts enforced loyalty clause, which means if
what does
you
that
just
mean?
you can't talk shit about the team at all,
Well,
or you
I
lose your
mean,
signing bonus.
does that need to be put in the?
Apparently, it does because it's there.
Like
Got
that's just
weight
one of
loss
those things.
clauses.
Yeah, you can
Rick
do it, but we're
Rick
gonna cut
Meyer
you.
had a end of the world clause. DeBrickshaw Ferguson, he had to block 7 kicks to get. I can't read my writing. Basically, he had to get his. He had to block 7 kicks, which at the time the record was 6. I think it's still 6. Basically, they gave him an unobtainable goal in order to get his shit.
Well, that's a different type of
That's
thing.
not different. That's like these little clauses and stipulations. I mean, it's not new. Just because
Well,
this,
I'm just saying that one. That
just
one specifically is different. That would be okay. Deshaun Watson, or why do I keep saying Deshaun Watson? Jeez, it's because they're both anyway. Um, okay, Kyler Murray, you can't throw any interceptions this season, or no money. That would be equivalent to that. Or you can't throw more than 5 interceptions the whole year.
I don't know. I think if there's a reason why they put it in there. They didn't just look at him and go, you know what, this darky, this little tiny darky doesn't know what he's doing. So let's help him out while we're giving him $230.5 million.
Well, we just knew as soon as that story came out. This is a matter of time for someone tried to make it about race.
Well, of course they did. That's the
Warren
first
Moon
thing they
just
did.
happens to be the first person.
And that's bullshit because I've never heard any like bad thing said about Warren Moon. And for him to, I don't know, man. I think he's wrong. I think the
Of
cow.
course he's wrong.
I think the Cardinals are pussies for taking because we did mention that they did end up taking the study clause out that Kyler Murray agreed to with no problems until after the fact.
Right.
So I think
So after
the Cardinals should have stuck to their guns or not put the shit in there. And to your point, if there is an issue that like that, he shouldn't be getting that lucrative of a contract. But at the same time, he's their star quarterback, and they're not going to be able to keep him. Like, he already had one foot out the door. So unless they're going to
yeah,
pay him
because of
big,
the contract thing. They already wanted
yeah.
him to sign a contract, and he he didn't. Or no, they were just slow to make the contract. And then they give you one, and they have this little clause in there.
Which he
I
agreed
don't
to.
know. It's
He
just
agreed to it. He agreed to it. His agent read over the contract and said, "Oh yeah, this is good shit, Kyler." And the only thing that was an issue is when motherfuckers started trying to say how racist it was. Then Kyler, he had his little opinion. Fuck him. He's a fucking piece of shit. I hope he breaks his
How do
leg.
you, what do you think if you're like the agent? Do you just like you go talk to him? Oh yeah, we got you're gonna make this much, yeah, yada yada yada. Oh, by the way, so there's kind of this thing in here. They want you to study at least 4 hours a week on your free time. But anyway, this is the
4 hours.
contract.
That's the thing. 4 hours a week. That mean, and they said like no playing fucking video games and shit. So don't play video games for one less hour, or 4 less hours. And apparently he's got enough of an issue for that to be a stipulation in his contract. They wouldn't just put it in there just arbitrarily.
Right. And how are they going to verify this? Do they go to his house?
I don't know. Maybe he
Does
has
he
a
got
little
to record
study.
himself?
Who knows?
Like, how are you going to verify he's doing this? Does he got to clock in, like a remote clock in? You can't verify it then. A remote clock in with a camera on, like a webcam, so they can see that you're studying and not playing video games.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how they would enforce that. I do know that I think that was one of the things that like if he played video games or something, that wouldn't count. But silly little fucking stipulations isn't new for black and white folk.
Yeah.
And I think personally, if I was just gonna go based off of cosmetics and shit, I would say Lamar Jackson would be the one that gets the study clause, because he's not as articulate.
He just has that. He's just very nonchalant. He might not even care.
Who, Lamar?
He's got that. Yeah, he's got that
Yeah,
Jay Cutler attitude.
kind of. Yeah, yeah, I see that. I like him.
Like
I like
everybody
Lamar
thought.
Jackson.
Everybody thought Jay Cutler didn't care.
Yeah,
He's like, why? Because I'm not demonstrative and yelling at people on the sidelines.
I don't know. I think the whole thing's fucking stupid. I've lost a lot of respect for both Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals.
I think it is. It is stupid. But if they come out and win, everybody's going to forget about it.
True.
But again, I agree. Just the end part of what Warren Moon said. You just know everybody's just waiting for him to throw an interception or lose a game,
Hmm.
and then they're gonna or get to the playoffs. They'll be quiet when he makes it to the playoffs, but he loses the playoff games. Oh yeah, if you would have studied, you would have won that game. Like they're just gonna wait for him to fail and then say whatever it was. Oh, if he would have studied, no matter what it was. As a matter of fact, an example of this already
Hmm.
was a news also broke that he has that thing in the news, not the I don't know how we can talk about this. The old thing in the news, not the new one, but the old one. You follow me on that one?
No. What the fuck are you talking about?
He caught that illness that's been in the news, but
Oh,
the
did
old
he?
one, not the new one. Yeah.
So he ain't going to the zoo. He's staying in China.
Yes.
Okay.
So he got that, and of course, you go in the comments. First comment there. Oh, if he would have studied, he wouldn't have got this.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, that's not a real comment. Come on.
But
That's come on.
like just people were just waiting to use that, got that in the chamber, waiting for it.
Okay, so who's people? Are we talking about like dipshits like you and me talking on the internet? Are we talking about sports analysts? Are we talking about
I'm saying anybody, anybody.
well, if
People, the the couch, the couch quarterbacks, the professional analysts, anybody. They're going to bring it up as soon as he fails. They're going to bring up that study clause.
will they though? I see. I can see the average fan doing that, but the average fan's vicious. But I don't know. I see analysts being too scared to fucking bring that up because
I can almost guarantee if the first game they lose, either Skip or Shannon, whichever one is against him, is going to bring that up.
well, if Shannon brings it up, then that kind of eliminates the racist part, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm just saying whichever one is, because they're always ones on. They play each side of the coin. So whichever one is on the positive, the negative side, they're going to bring that up.
And Baker Mayfield had immaturity issues as well, reportedly. So he's had the same issues as the Kyler has had.
I don't know. I just circle it all the way back to if you have these issues, you shouldn't be giving these big contracts. It's almost like have it. Let's say you're getting married
Mm-hmm.
and you're you have a I don't know a marriage contract, and in the contract you say you can't cheat on me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that's if that's potentially an issue, you probably shouldn't get married in the first place.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it already sounds like a contentious relationship, but I don't know if you if you marry your wife and you know that she has a dick, and then on your honeymoon night, like you go, oh, what's this? Like you already signed up. You know what you signed up for. You know what I mean?
How'd you sneak this in here?
Yeah. It just and Kyler Kyler Murray didn't read it. He didn't read his fucking contract. His agent did. So somebody smarter than him, allegedly, read his shit for him. Somebody that has more experience with contracts. And not one person had an issue with it until the masses had issue with it. So I mean,
Right.
like, don't fucking sign your name on something and then bitch about it later.
And that's the moral of the story. That's the moral of the story, folks. Don't sign something you don't agree with.
Right. Or at least know what you fucking agree with before you fucking sign shit.
Don't just look at the money at the end of it and say, you know what, whatever you want to put in there, you put in there.
And it's 4 fucking hours a week. It's not even 7 hours. He doesn't have to study every day. He can break it up into half hours.
Yeah, he could. But then you'd be studying every day.
For 30
Or,
minutes.
I mean, people, school kids study longer than that. That's like nothing.
Exactly. I mean, I remember Peyton Manning, he used to have his receivers like just stay like after the games so they could practice throwing routes and shit.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So I mean, that's an hour. That wasn't part of the game. That's not part of the practice. That's not part of the game plan. That's not part of anything. That's Peyton's thing. And you know what? That's why Peyton won 2 Super Bowls. That's why he has multiple MVPs. That's why he's the greatest quarterback that's ever been under center.
Until Arch Manning,
Until Arch
of
Manning,
course.
of course.
He's been christened.
So I mean, yeah, I think Kyler Murray's a bitch. And I think the
For
Arizona
signing.
Cardinals are bigger bitches.
For signing it.
For signing it, for being retarded enough to have a fucking clause being put into his contract like that. Because again, his actions dictated that contract.
Well, I mean,
Because
you can't help if someone accuses you of something,
no, but
and be it
you can
true or
help if
not.
you fucking sign and agree to shit like that. If the
Yeah, that's what
perception
I'm
is
saying.
if the perception is that I'm not on my shit and that I don't study enough or I'm not with it with my organization, and then it comes time for me to resign and they put that stipulation in there saying, hey man, you need to get more on point with what we're doing, then that's on me. That's not on anybody else. There's something I did that led my employer to think that about me. Regardless of whether or not it's right or wrong, his actions led him to that. And his actions aren't deterring them from that line of thinking. Because he's been with them for what, 3 years? 2 years?
3 years, yeah.
3 years? So, I mean,
Hmm.
3 years, that's the impression that they have of you? And again, we're not Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett, Lamar Jackson, Tua, Patrick Mahomes. None of these motherfuckers they have any stipulation like that in their contract. So again, Kyler did something to warrant that.
Right, or he just gave off that vibe. But at the end of the day, he shouldn't have signed it if it wasn't true.
Which
Or
he
or
signed
you
it because he
sign it.
agreed with it, and then all of a sudden, the public perception, he realized that his little victim, he can get some victim points.
Like, or yeah, don't sign it, or you sign it and it's like, whatever, I do that anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
like,
just saying,
oh, I don't need that. I already do it.
kick me in the balls for 4 days a week. I mean, fucking $230 million a year, and you want to say racism? Fuck you.
No, he didn't say racism. Warren Moon said racism.
Well, Warren Moon's a fucking bitch too.
But I knew it was gonna get there somehow. He was
Yeah.
just the first to do it.
Well, anytime anything negative or anybody tries to hold anybody accountable to anybody with certain pigments of their skin, then it's automatically racism.
And here I am thinking racism was out. I thought we'd moved. Uh, Next topic: Deshaun Watson. What was I saying right there?
Yeah,
I don't even know where I was going with
I don't either.
that. I mean, I know where I was going, but Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson. This, oh man.
He,
So basically,
this
we're
gentleman.
back where we started with with Deshaun. So after what, weeks, months? I think it was weeks. The NFL and NFLPA, they agreed to have like a third party judge decide the Watson thing. So after
Yes.
deliberation, Watson gets 6 games suspension.
Yes, and if you're the Browns, of course you rejoice when you hear that
Of
news.
course.
Now the NFL has since appealed. They're going for more games. They're going for 10 or 12 to the entire season.
Which to me is funny because the both parties agreed that they're going to have this independent person judge their shit, and then the NFL doesn't get what they want. And they're like, no. So I think that with their appeal, they get to decide who gets to arbitrate.
Yeah,
So
so
it'll be more
they had already
NFL
said they
friendly.
weren't. They had already said they weren't going to appeal it, and then they ended up appealing it.
Yeah.
But
And then Deshaun Watson said he'd sue the NFL.
yeah, so
So
this is a thing that's going to go on. I mean, I would like to see it stick at the 6 games.
do you think that's fair?
I don't. I honestly, and I brought this up to you earlier in the week. So he got suspended for violating policy, but
Personal
what?
conduct.
Yeah, but what exactly? Like, what specifically did he violate in this personal conduct?
Well, he ejaculated on a woman.
Yeah, is that part of the personal conduct clause?
He ejaculated on at least one woman, according to the report. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, he was frozen in fear.
You got 24 cases and only one ejaculation. I mean, come on.
What the other
Uh,
ones get? Anyway, that's here nor there. But like that specifically was in the clause. No ejaculating on women.
well, I think it will be. I think after if Deshaun Watson signs another contract, there might be a little clause that says you can't go to massage parlors or something.
Oh, you well, number one you cut out there,
Yeah, I know.
but um, yeah, that's already the Browns have already put in their contract that he can only get like masseuses from Brown staff. So I mean that was already a given that he's gonna have to cut that out. But
He does seem to have an unhealthy obsession with massage parlors. I will say that.
he
Does
does.
that equate
Well, now you
to
can see why.
wrongdoing? Oh, I don't know. I mean, you got what was it 25 cases? They all settled, which to me sounds more like a cash grab than an actual attempt to seek justice.
Yeah. Now, if he did get, if it was that violating the personal conduct policy, then he's kind of on par with a 6 game suspension as like people of the past
Mm-hmm.
who have been suspended for that specific thing. We can take a look at a couple here. Ben Roethlisberger, he got suspended 6 games for his thing.
He got suspended 6 games. I didn't think it was that long. I thought it was like three
Yeah,
games or something.
no, he got 6 games for
Okay.
his thing.
Well, and he had
Um,
two women accuse him, right?
yeah,
Okay.
Ray, excuse me, Ray Rice, he got kicked out of the league.
He did.
Um, and any mention of him going forward can no longer be had.
He's Chris
And he's
Benoit.
like, yeah, he's just um,
I watched that video recently. That was some
he
wild
got
shit.
her.
Hey, oh my god. I've never seen such a clean punch in all my life. And then the fact that he drug her unconscious her unconscious corpse out of the elevator and just kind of dumped her like a sack of shit. And some person's
Oh,
like,
there's
"Hey, what's going on?"
What are you doing there, buddy? What you doing there, buddy?
Hi, can I help? This seems like a good opportunity to interject myself into this situation.
What if that by what if that guy just like the innocent bystander, just like casual walking by, was like some kind of serial rapist? It's like, oh, I've been here before. Can I help? Can I join? Anyway, that's not something to make fun of.
No.
Um, I was in ill. I was in poor taste there. Down home punch, huh?
Uh-huh.
Adam Pac-Man Jones. He was suspended 6 games.
For everything.
I think his was
His
like marijuana, I believe, or something like that.
well, he's been suspended a lot though. I would assume his 6 games was like a it escalated to that.
Yeah.
Because
Greg
he's been
Hardy.
he
Greg
basically
Hardy was the domestic violence. He got suspended 10 games. Ezekiel Elliott, also domestic violence, 10 games. I'm sorry, 6 games. Um, famous Jameis Winston beating up his Uber driver. Or no, he just touched her inappropriately. He got 3 games. Um, we're not gonna go through all of them, of course.
right.
Kareem Hunt. Remember the Kareem Hunt thing? He got suspended 8 games.
It sounds like
Also
they don't know
around.
what they don't know what they're doing.
Well, I'm just saying it's par for the course. If that's the violation, these are some of the notable suspensions. They're all around 6 to 8 games, and then you got a couple of outliers like Ray Rice, who got banned, shunned. He got blacklisted from the league.
Yeah.
Michael Vick also got blacklisted, but he came back
No, he
after he
he got
served
sent to
his.
prison. He didn't get blacklisted.
We got blacklisted for a little bit, and
He
of
got
and of all things, his was just like not even humans.
that was worse.
Oh, oh. Antonio Brown, he got 8 games too. I know people love dogs, so
It's all good.
no reason to dig into that.
Antonio Brown got 8 games for what?
His was also, let's see. Well, his was an array of things.
Okay. So we should take those guys out. So Pac-Man and Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
Take them
so
out.
again, we're sitting at 6 to 8 games.
And Kareem,
I mean, if
I mean,
uh,
okay. Okay. Ray Rice just knocks one woman out. Kareem Hunt nudges a lady with his foot. Like, I know they said he kicked her, but that was the worst kick I've ever seen in my life, if that's the case. And Deshaun Watson is accused by 25 ladies.
well, Ray Rice's problem is he got caught on camera.
That he knocked
That
her
was his
cold.
problem.
No, he knocked her cold out. He
Well, I'm
hit
saying
he
it
hit
was
that
worse.
he hit that woman like a man.
I know he should have done that in 2020. He'd be okay now.
Yeah.
But, but, but yeah, he the the reason that became as bad as it was is because it was on camera. Like
Yeah.
I think if there was never a video of it and we just heard domestic violence with his spouse, then you know we would
Was
just
didn't the
we would
running
take it
back
with for what
for
it was.
the running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, didn't he get suspended too?
Benson, Cedric Benson.
No, 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 no. And he's not playing anymore. Um,
That still goes in line with Cedric Benson. You gotta need more than that.
Joe Morton.
I don't know who that is.
Like I felt like he hit somebody in college or something.
Speaking of hitting someone in college, LeGarrette Blount,
Yeah.
he got to the NFL and never had another issue. Well,
No, he didn't.
except for the marijuana.
Wow.
But that's its own thing you can argue. If whether or not that should be a thing. Getting in trouble for it.
Well, especially today. Joe Mixon.
Oh. Did he get suspended?
I thought he did.
For domestic violence?
Something like that.
A lot of guys on there beating women.
Well,
Get a hold of yourself, NFL players.
maybe some ladies should quit. Should quit stepping up like men. I think his was a bar incident.
Should know how to act. That's what you're saying?
Well, I mean, even with that lady that steps up to dudes because they know in the back of their head that they're safe because they're an innie, not an outie. But then you run into that one dude that just doesn't see gender that way. And he'll knock you out regardless of whether or not you have tits.
Right. I remember when that story, the Ray Rice thing broke
Mm-hmm.
at my old place of employment. The first thing they were asking was, "What did she say?" And it was surprising how many people immediately went there. Oh, he knocked her out. What was she saying? Because I bet you she said something that needed to get corrected.
Wow.
It's like, oh my God, is it like that, huh?
For punching him. Yeah, so Joe Mixon, misdemeanor, punching some lady, breaking bones in her face. Incident happened after he turned 18. A day after he turned 18.
Oh, come on, he's a kid. Do you even count what happens at 18?
So the lady pushed and slapped Mixon. And then Mixon punched Molter, causing her to fall on a table.
But the important question is, did she go through the table?
Oh, I hope so.
Like, did the table give way? Did the
Fall
legs break and
into
then
a
she
table.
fall on the ground?
Required surgery as the punch. Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't say.
That's a shame.
And of course, the lady says that Mixon used a homophobic slur, and Mixon said that the lady's friend used a racial slur. So.
Oh, you got slurs, so.
I don't know which one's more powerful these days. Seems like the L's and
The
the B's.
homophobic.
Yeah. The A's and the B's and the C's.
In 2020, you can't
Those-
be doing homophobic slurs.
Those freaks.
There's this show. Before we get to our next topic,
Mhm.
there's this show on Peacock, and it's called They Them. And it's a horror movie. And I said, if that's not the most 2022 horror movie, then I don't know what is.
I was watching Last night I was watching something on Netflix called Blowing Glass. It's glass making, right? So it's like one of them competition shows. This thing
Uh,
walks out with a mullet and like, oh yeah, I'm here representing non-binary, transgender, blah 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 blah. I had to turn it off. I was not interested in glass blowing after that. Like, why do we need to insert the message to a glass blowing competition?
there's no, doesn't seem like a need for the agenda.
Not really, no.
Like, you can just go blow the glass. You don't need to announce anything. Just go do what you need to.
Yeah, and that's more out of place. Like
Like,
I watch like Forged in Fire, where they make like metal smithing and they make swords and shit. Like every now and then there'll be a brother that comes on, and he looks out of place because you don't, you don't you don't think like medieval weapons and black dudes, right? This is
right.
not something you think about. But it's even worse when this question mark comes walking out. Oh, I want to do non-binary shit. Okay.
Which sounds like a math term.
Sounds
But
like
I don't,
gobbledygook.
I don't even know. Truth be told, I don't know what that even means.
Nobody does.
Non-binary. Nor do I want you to explain it to me. But it sounds like a math term.
You don't want me to explain it to you?
No,
Oh, hold on.
I don't care to look it up, and I don't want you to
Sit
explain it to
Indian
me.
style. No, no, no.
I don't want.
I want you to sit
No,
Indian style.
I want nothing more to know about non-binary.
It's retarded. That's all you need to know.
But
So, before we move on, do you think, what do you think is going to happen with Deshaun? Do you think he's going to actually get that year? Do you think, I mean, it sounds like he's going to get a year off regardless, why they fight it off in the legal thing.
well, I mean, if they're still fighting it, what happens? Does he play or does he not play?
I
So
would
remember there
assume.
was a
Oh, yeah. Because didn't Brady play until the suspension?
yeah.
Okay.
So
But that's a
I
little, I
guess
think
there's some.
deflated footballs are a little different than rape. So,
Well, I'm just saying that it depends on where they're going with that. I don't know. I think I feel like it's going to be more games.
mm,
Personally, for the disaster of it all, I hope it stays at 6 games,
right.
just to for the reaction. It's going to make good content for us if it's only 6 games.
Right.
So we'll just say that.
I was hoping for 6 games because let's keep in mind the motherfucker was not charged with any crimes. There's zero criminal charges. The last time I checked, the shit that he's being accused of is a criminal offense, right?
Right.
So,
I mean, then it should be 0 games. Like, why is he even getting suspended? I don't know that to begin with. Why he's even getting suspended?
because
But you
because
get
like a
six
decade
games.
ago, Roger Goodell decided to take it upon himself to suspend motherfuckers for shit that they do outside the league, even though it has nothing to do with actual law or um, yeah, just you don't have to break the law to get punished arbitrarily.
And how do you determine how long is enough when there's no set rules?
And I
Like there
think
should
that's
be a clear cut.
I think that's the bone of contention because when you compare Ray Rice's situation to Deshaun Watson's situation, like on face value, you would say like Deshaun Watson's all the way would be worse, right?
Mm, I don't know.
Neither one of them was charged criminally.
Well, I mean, Ray Rice again, the camera thing adds a different element to it,
I disagree. I think 25 women.
but not on camera.
No, but you got
So now
testimony.
you
You got
really,
testimony, and
really,
you got. Oh, I was transfixed by him. I was transfixed by him rubbing up and down. I couldn't move, and then it got all over my face. Or was the
well,
what was the girl that said that he anally raped her and then she shat herself?
oh, I didn't hear that.
I think she shit herself.
During or afterwards?
I think after. That's the way I read it.
Okay.
Like it was so
She should have done it during. That would have probably stopped him. But
probably, yeah. I
I'm
just
just saying, you got, yes, what he did was terrible, Deshaun Watson,
mhm.
but he wasn't caught on camera, number one. Number two, he wasn't charged with anything, so it's really a he said versus she said. Now,
Ray Rice
25
wasn't charged with
she
anything
says,
either.
but he was caught on camera. That's the
I don't know.
deciding factor
I
there.
think 25 counts of assault. 25 witness testimony accounts. I think that's worse. Even if it is on camera, I think that's worse than one punch. But
On
that's just me, I
camera,
guess.
though,
Yeah.
and again,
The lady even said that was the
none of
most
it's been
egregious shit I've
proven.
ever seen in my life. I've never seen such a dark soul playing this game of pigskin.
I mean, none of it's been proven. That's what I'm getting at. You
Yeah.
didn't. None of the facial girl didn't leave it on her face and go get a DNA test.
Didn't scrape it off and put it in a test tube.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get this motherfucker.
yeah. Like, there's no.
No Instagram post. This is what happened to me.
Yeah, posing for selfies with this stuff.
This is not a good day.
Yeah.
Hashtag sad.
With it still all on her face. Yeah, no, there's no evidence that's come out for this. So it's all now it's damning evidence, or it's damning that so many different women have said along the lines of the same thing, and he's gotten so many massages and all that stuff, and he's settling. That's some damning stuff.
See, the
But
settling. I know that the common perception is that if you settle, that's a sign of guilt. To me, that's just like, I'd rather just get the shit over with. I got the money. Like, do I spend millions of dollars in court fees, or do I want to spend thousands of dollars just telling you to shut the fuck up and hear? You know what I mean? Sometimes it's more.
yeah,
Sometimes
I
it's
mean,
more
you could at least like
advantageous.
to just give in.
Not even given. That's not even given in. That's okay. We're not going to court. How much money is it going to take for you to just drop it? Okay, I can live with that. There you go.
Well, I know bigger corporations do that all the time. Get away with it.
What do you mean?
Just like you have these people who like sue Walmart or something like that, and they just settle out of court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's more the publicity, the like all sorts. I mean, sometimes it's just less of a fucking hassle just to settle. That's not an admission of guilt, and that's not really anything. It's other than settling. So
Yeah,
I mean, I guess my point is I don't look at that as a sign. I don't look at that as a sign of guilt. I just look at that as a he's trying to just get this shit over with.
yeah. I guess you can see it that way. Maybe his lawyer got in his ear and said, you know, I don't think you can win this outright, so we might just want to, like, there's no evidence left or right, so you might just want to give them what they want and get this over with,
Yeah.
so we can move on.
Like, hey, they're only asking for $10,000. Oh, okay. $10,000. Oh, shit, I'll do that. Versus what, 2 3 years of
But I have to give it to her in the room.
She's got to watch me. Give it to her.
Yeah. Like, I'll personally write the check,
She's got to
but
stand over
only
it.
after.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, hopefully, I just wanted it to end. I'm just tired of this, like all this bullshit.
It is kind of dragging out.
And I do feel bad, like, because you were talking about how Kyler Murray has this perception of being a dumb fuck that doesn't put 100% effort into everything. Like, what do you think Deshaun Watson's stigma is going to be for the rest of his career? And he didn't exactly, and he
Yeah.
didn't do shit. Well, I mean, he wasn't charged with anything. There's no criminal charges. So
That doesn't mean he didn't do anything, though.
it means that legally,
He definitely did something.
yeah, you got massages
Now,
and
how
some,
much of something he did,
and
that's,
some happy endings.
yeah. Which
And the Texans
doesn't
apparently
seem,
were in on it too. They settled.
yeah, they were helping him, apparently.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of all that. I do know it's pretty fishy having 25 people say the same shit about you. It's kind of hard to ignore that, but at the same time, if you got two grand juries not wanting to move forward with any criminal charges, then apparently there's not enough smoke to call it a fire, is there?
Right. But that's just to do jail time.
Right. Which I guess to my point is that there's no jail time. He didn't break the law. So what does the NFL care?
Well, that's what that whole personal conduct thing is for.
Right, and
That's what they care.
they shouldn't. All they should care about is football. And guess what? The game would be better.
Oh, well, I don't know about that.
No?
These people are representing,
They ain't representing
even
shit.
even if they're not playing football, they're representation of your league.
They're not representing anything. They're representing themselves. There's no, especially today, there's no, like, ambassador. There's no fucking Troy Aikman. There's no Roger Staubach. Maybe Tom Brady, but he's not an ambassador. He's all about Tom Brady. So, speaking of Tom Brady, do you think Baker Mayfield's going to start?
That was a weird one,
I know.
but
I tried.
um, so reports coming out of camp so far is that Baker Mayfield is going to start.
Well,
Um,
he's the projected favorite, and I think that's just because of talent. Honestly, I don't think that has anything to do with anything else.
Yeah, so I don't know if he does start. I take it back. I do think he will start.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he makes it the whole season.
Really?
Um, the again, we're always talking about it, but we're talking about practice again.
Practice. Talking about
Yeah.
practice.
So the Panthers had their first practice, and Baker Mayfield didn't do too hot. Um, but he is learning the offense. He threw a pretty bad interception. It was an interception that he underthrew the person.
Mm.
Um, but he's learning the offense. He's
Was he
learning the
feeling
routes. He's
dangerous?
learning the play calls. I bet
That's
he was
important.
after that.
That's important. I gotta know how dangerous he was feeling.
Yeah, I don't know if he woke up feeling dangerous, but
Okay.
he he definitely felt dangerous on that interception.
Well, I mean,
He underthrew the guy.
here's the bottom line. Baker Mayfield is better than Sam Darnold. So it's essentially Baker Mayfield's job to lose. Um,
Right.
I would say, if anything, Sam Darnold has the edge because he's been there a year. Um, so if I were to say anything, I'd say Sam Darnold starts first and eventually loses it to Baker. Now, that's not to say that when and if Baker gets the reins that he's going to be, a superstar. Because they have the easiest job. All they got to do is turn around and hand it to McCaffrey when he's there.
Or threw it to him in the flat.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that Simpsons thing. You see this person? Get him the ball.
Right.
That's the job.
So, I mean, because who's he going to throw it to besides McCaffrey?
I don't know.
And
I don't even know. Outside of McCaffrey, I don't even know who they have on offense. They had Greg Olson, but he either retired or he's unretired again. Can't keep up with that. But I've also sworn off Panthers games for reasons I care
right,
not to
right, right.
say. So
Because they're cheerleading
I
personnel.
said reasons I care not to
Oh, I
say.
will. I'll say it.
Well, your reason, your reason, and my reason probably isn't the same.
Oh, I bet it is.
But I just won't be watching any Panthers games this season or any season for the foreseeable future. So I
Well,
don't know any players on the team.
my thing is, if the Browns were better than the Panthers, like
Right.
team wise, so Baker kind of struggled with a better team. So now he's going to go to even a worse team. I mean, I'm not expecting much from him.
Well, he was allegedly hurt last year.
He was. His shoulder
So
was fucked up, but I mean, be that as it may, he still had the maturity issues and all the other shit that they said.
yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see if he gets and keeps the job. Like you said, it's his to lose, but still interesting to keep an eye on that and see if he does lose it. And if he does lose it, then he's done.
Yeah.
Like, no more Baker Mayfield.
Can you
No more
imagine?
State Farm commercials for you.
Can you imagine if he loses the job to Sam Darnold?
Yeah, you're done after that.
Well, hopefully, I don't know. I kind of want him to. I kind of want him to do good, but I don't. Like, I'm not the biggest Baker fan. At the same time, he did do pretty well in Cleveland. But at the same time,
I,
he's an arrogant cunt. So,
I see them as going through a rebuild, so he's not going to do. He might do good, but they're definitely not going to make the playoffs. And I'm for one. am glad that they wouldn't be making the playoffs since I can't watch any other games. So, but if they did make the playoffs, that would be something.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, what do I do? What if they made the Super Bowl? Then I can't watch the Super Bowl for reasons I care not to say.
Yeah. I don't know, man. They kind of remind me of the Falcons after they lost their Super Bowl. The Panthers, that is. Just really
Kind of just
good, and
fell
then
off.
yeah, it's like that just stole their soul.
Yeah, the window closed.
Ironically, it was to the Panthers too, wasn't it? No, 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 no. It was not the
Yeah, to
Panthers.
the Broncos.
Yeah, Panthers was Broncos. I was thinking Patriots.
Yeah, it was to the Broncos, and Cam Newton had his thing because they were celebrating and he could hear them or whatever.
Right, right, right.
I don't know.
That's kind of Cam Newton. He didn't have a fucking study clause in his contract.
Yeah, because he didn't need one.
Exactly.
But, you know, it's racist for Kyler Murray to have one, though.
Although they did kind of do him dirty when he got hurt. That's a different story, though.
Speaking of racist, though, I have a funny story that we should, or not a funny story, but this kind of broke today, or it's kind of all came to light today. Um, Mike Tyson.
Okay.
Have you heard anything about this?
Uh-uh.
So he Hulu has this documentary coming out about
Okay.
Mike Tyson.
Okay.
Well, apparently he didn't give them consent, and so number one, he didn't give them consent,
So is
and
it
number two, apparently
unauthorized documentary about Mike Tyson from Hulu?
yes,
Okay.
and number two, apparently he was working on his own documentary, and they stole his idea.
Okay.
So he took to Twitter today and pretty
Said Hulu's
much
racist.
tried to he tried he tried to start this Hulu bashing thing. It's starting to catch a little steam behind it, but yeah, he took to Twitter. He was like, um, "Hey, one of the tweets. Hey Hulu, I'm not a N word with the hard R. You can't you can't sell on the auction block." And then hashtags are fuck Hulu and slavery is over. And then he has another tweet talking about what I was just talking about. Hulu stole my story. They're Goliath and I'm David. Has real role for this. Hulu's model of stealing life rights of celebrities is egregiously greedy. Heads will roll, so he's trying to take on Twitter. But it's just funny that because I've been watching Twitter. I'm sorry, I've been watching Hulu for the last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching American Horror Story, and
American Horror Story or Horror Stories?
so I started watching stories,
Okay.
and I kind of like them. So then I said, "Oh, well, I never watched American Horror Story."
Okay.
So apparently it links they're together. So
That's what I heard.
I decided to go back and watch some of the, or actually, I'm watching the whole thing. I started season one this weekend, or last weekend. I finished season one. I'm on the season two now.
I've only seen the Asylum. I think that's what it was. Like I saw, I think the first season where the dude's mom tried to fuck him?
That
And
was not
was that
the
not season one?
first.
Oh, well,
No.
there you go.
Oh, there's a spoiler.
I thought it was the first season. My bad. But the asylum's really good. If you get there, I thought that was. I never really
Yeah, we're
watched it
on our
beyond
way.
that.
We're on our way. But yeah, as I'm watching Hulu, I did see that there's this Mike Tyson thing coming out. And at first I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I mean, I don't think I would watch it, but it's
I am
interesting.
now.
But but yeah, Mike Tyson just kind of blew up on Twitter, calling out Hulu for stealing his thing.
I don't understand how he's equating that to racism. Do you have to be racist to be a thief?
Oh, no, that was just my segue.
Oh, okay. Well, didn't he say something about buying and selling him or something in his tweets?
Oh, yeah. You can't buy him and sell him like a slave.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Although
Yeah,
Tyson's weird.
I don't get that quite, but
I think it's dumb. The fucking documentary. Like, where's Tyson gonna release it? Netflix? He's either got Netflix or
I don't
Hulu.
know. I mean, he's just, he's Tyson. Maybe he gets HBO.
Dude,
He's got to. It's his story. Why would? How you gonna have someone else tell your story for you and not consult you on it?
it's been done. Tyson ain't the
Well,
first.
I'm sure he's not the first, but
And he won't
it's
be the
my
last.
story. Like, you gonna tell me my story? It's almost like um, the Seinfeld episode where dude bought Kramer's stories,
Mm-hmm.
and he was
Peterman.
telling the stories like, yeah, and he's like, no, that happened to me, not you.
Yeah.
No, they're my stories now.
You can't tell that story. That's a Peterman story. I don't know.
And it's like, but it's my story.
It's Mike Tyson. That's all. Everything that dude does is crazy. Did anything ever happen to him from beating that one dude's ass on the plane, or did it just kind of get dropped?
I don't think anything happened to it. I mean, he was with Ric Flair that night, so
Oh,
I think I think everybody just kind of took that as,
it happened, and
yeah, this
yeah,
dude got what he deserved
gotcha.
for being up in his face. I
Oh,
think that's where everybody took that.
you said it. Did you see Ric Flair's last match?
I did. Well, I didn't. I heard about it,
Okay.
and I heard it was pretty bad. Um, it went the way of you would expect of a 70-year-old man in a wrestling ring. um,
Yeah.
some like the way people were explaining it is it was like Weekend at Bernie's, that movie
Mm-hmm.
where Ric Flair was Bernie.
Yeah.
So so what happened was during the during the match, and it's pretty. He took a suplex, and it wasn't a crazy suplex. I guess being 70 years old, taking a suplex
With a
is a
pacemaker
thing
and
in
all the other
itself.
shit that he had to deal with.
Yeah, so he takes a suplex in the match, and from that point on, he was pretty much knocked out, didn't know where he was.
Well,
Um,
let's keep in mind he bled like within the first 5 minutes, I think.
yeah, because he got hit with his shoe. But yeah, so he gets knocked out after on this suplex and didn't know where he was. The only problem is they still wrestled like another 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
So, um, and I heard it like at one point he was gonna put Jay Lethal in a figure four, and he he couldn't do it. So
He couldn't.
Jay Lethal pretty much had to slide himself into the figure four.
That's yeah. Yeah. I'd say that's
Um,
the only way you could describe that is Jay Lethal put himself in the figure four leg lock.
and then I heard at the finish where there was like a brass knuckle spot where um, and his partner Andrade had to pretty much turn him to the direction and tell him to hit and pretty much
Yeah,
throw his arm up.
yeah. It was sad. I just think it's a good thing I'm not a big fan of Ric Flair. He's always been
But
that
yeah,
guy that doesn't know when to quit.
yeah. So yeah, it definitely went the exactly how you would think a 70-year-old wrestling would go.
Well, you mentioned how Jay Lethal had to put himself in the figure four. I, I've been watching recently, and like of all the times I've seen people use the figure four leg lock, nobody knows how to fucking put that thing on.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
they do
it's
that
a
little they do that cloverleaf thing, and then they just kind of lay into it. I don't know. It just doesn't look. It looks weird. It looks unnatural. It looks stupid. Just an
yeah, it's
observation.
definitely kind of a hard thing, I guess, to pull off.
Well, speaking of stupid, Vince Russo recently made the news, didn't he?
He did.
Is
We're
that
getting
better?
through him
Is that a
now,
better
huh?
one?
That is.
Okay.
So, Vince Russo, and we can remind me at the end of this because I got another WWF story.
Okay.
Um, so Vince Russo, he he caught some flack because he criticized WWE. Um, right now, since Triple H is in charge, you can't criticize WWE because everybody is sucking leg cock of Triple H. And if you say anything about WWE right now, everybody gets all everybody starts crying. Similar to how it is with AEW.
Yeah.
So Vince Russo, he's seen this opportunity
Mm-hmm.
and he sees what Jim Cornette does with AEW, always bashing AEW, and it
Well,
gives him
to be fair, he bashes WWE too.
well, no one cares about that. They just care about the AEW part.
Well, AEW is
But
worse.
now, but now Vince Russo saw that and he's like, okay, well I could do that with WWE. So now anything negative he says becomes the news headline. So
Well, he's been saying
recently,
negative shit about WWE for a while too. Vince. Like
Vince Russo, yeah,
he hasn't been like he didn't just all of a sudden have a negative opinion. He's been pretty critical for a while. In
and
fairness.
I can prove this though that he's just trying to get a rise out of people.
Okay.
I got proof for you here. So first of all, let's talk about what he said about WWE now. So this has been the first full week that Triple H has been head of creative,
Mm-hmm.
and he put on a match of Montez Ford versus Seth Rollins, and it was a good match as you would expect it to be between Montez and Seth Rollins. That's not the story. what the story is
Is it sad
was
that I don't know who Montez Ford is?
uh he's kind of a newer guy, so I would
Okay.
expect that
Okay.
if you haven't watched. But yeah, so that they had the match. It was a great match, and which brought up what Vince Russo said, and he basically said, and I quote. Now, bear with me here because this guy it's hard to read. So
Yeah.
it says,
Bro.
"Bro." that's that's literally the first part of the
I
comment,
know, right?
bro.
Comma.
As soon as yeah, as soon as I saw Rollins and Montez Ford, I'm like, okay, bro, there we go again. This is 15 minutes, and the marks are going to go crazy over this, and the casual fans are not going to give a crap. So yeah, I agree with you, Chris. But again, when you're going after the mass audience, that's for all the wrong reasons, bro.
I'm not sure I understand what the fuck he just said.
Well, if you take out all the bros, basically what he was saying, and why they're in there, I don't know. But basically, what he was saying was, and we kind of talked about this a few weeks ago, or last week, as a matter of fact. We talked about what people were thinking is Triple H is going to pretty much just take NXT, bring it to the main roster, and he's pretty much has done that over his first week of creative. He's plucked NXT, brought it to the main roster. Vince
Well, I think
Russo,
the best thing he's done so far is he has lifted the ban on the term wrestler in wrestling.
yes, he has.
So
He's
that's pretty
also
cool.
unbanned the word hospital, which so,
Okay.
but yeah, so Vince Russo is basically saying you're 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 catering to the marks, and by marks he's meaning like the people who sit on the internet, Twitter, and talk wrestling,
Mhm.
or the people who go to YouTube and watch
The
wrestling videos,
the
like
people that will pay money to for your product.
the nerds,
Yeah.
pretty much the wrestling nerds, as opposed to the casual fan who just knows what you put on TV. Like they don't go seeking stories. They don't go watching videos on wrestling. Like when it's on TV, they'll watch it. They
Mhm.
don't. They won't set their appointment to it either. It's like, oh, this is on, I'll watch it. The casual fan.
Right.
So he's saying, as a product, you should cater to that casual fan because you're you're catering to marks, and that's going to be the wrong audience. Um, he was talking about like there was no, and this was true. There was no reaction during the match
Uh
because the people that were already there were like casual people, so you know, they're at a wrestling show watching wrestling. They didn't know what to do.
huh.
So, so he's basically saying you need to WWE should be catering to casuals instead of wrestling on a wrestling show.
I don't know about that. I think they've been catering to casuals for decades now. Do I need to? Do I need to remind you of Bootios? They ain't for hardcore fans.
No, you don't. But that's what he's saying. Why are you like now that Triple H is in charge? Why are you trying to get away from that? Like this is where you are, and then and that's why he's already criticizing Triple H is because he's trying to cater to a more hardcore fan.
He's trying to bring the wrestling fans back.
Yeah,
No. Well,
instead of the casuals who, will watch it when it's on and
who will watch it every other week?
yeah,
Might go to a show if it's in town and somebody gives them free tickets, or they win it on the radio. They might wear
Yeah,
buy a wrestling shirt if their kid wants it.
yeah. The fan who at 9:30 on a show that ends at 10 o'clock says, "Oh yeah, Raw's on."
Yeah.
That's what you should be catering to.
You know what? If Triple H brings, if like my dream would be if Triple H brings it back to like what WCW was before, like the NWO got there. Like where it was just wrestling and competition.
Yeah. Well, I just want stories. Like, give me good stories. Stories I'll remember.
Well, if you're gonna have
Like,
stories, great, but at the same time, you you gotta tell the most important part of the story in between the ropes.
yeah.
So
Yeah, well, let's say it should be like 60-40. 60% story, 40% wrestling.
yeah.
And, he even said that, Triple H even said that himself. He said, yeah, you can go out there and put on a good match, but if you don't make people feel anything, they're just going to be like, they're they're just going to be like, oh yeah, they wrestled each other, and it was a good match, but and then they're going to forget about it a week later. But if you make them feel something, like Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels WrestleMania, I forgot what WrestleMania was, 13? No, like
I don't know.
17 or 18. You made them feel something.
What
Or
we
Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker WrestleMania 25. You made them feel.
see? I didn't feel anything. Just, that was a good match.
You didn't feel. I didn't
No,
even watch the match. I'll be honest.
I watched
I've been
I
meaning
watched
to, but
I watched the first one, I watched the second one, and then I watched him do the same thing just with Hunter Hearst Helmsley instead of Shawn Michaels.
yeah.
Because
But that story,
they did two with Shawn Michaels and then they did two with Triple H, and it was basically the same shit. It was the same shit.
right? Yeah, it was the same story,
It was
but
good.
it was all a story. Um,
I thought the second match with Hunter was worse. I like the build up and stuff because it was like, I beat you so bad, even though I lost the match. You had to go to the hospital, but I lost. I don't know.
my favorite part of that whole thing was when Shawn Michaels, um, I don't know, Shawn Michaels was like protecting Triple H, and then they were they were going back and forth, like, why are you doing this? And then finally Shawn's like, cause you can't beat him. If
Yeah.
I couldn't beat him, why would you be able to beat him? Like I couldn't do it. Why would you do it? Yeah, that was one of my favorite.
I,
That was my favorite part of that whole thing.
you did say you had a WWE story.
Oh yeah, as we get on out of here. So this broke
Oh, real
today.
quick, the Dolphins owner got suspended and
Oh yeah.
definitely got fined. They lost draft picks. Um, let me squeeze that in here so the thumbnail makes sense. And then they wanted to get Sean Payton and Tom Brady to come in and do stuff. So, yeah, big story. Go ahead with your WWE stuff.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that. I forgot about that story. I'll be
It's all
honest.
good.
And we also ran out of time, so
Yeah,
there's
we
that.
did.
But
Told you we had a packed show.
hey, we flew through these stories too, so we did pretty good today. Let's give all us a round of applause and smash like and comment and subscribe and all that. But as we get
That's
on
me
out of here,
clapping, not spanking.
as we get on out of here, um, and I don't know if the story's true or not, so there's still something to be proven here. But kayfabe news reports that Triple H announces that WWE will be changing back to WWF, and they're gonna do a new campaign that says "Get the F back here." So,
I don't know about that.
but the Wildlife Foundation and stuff.
Yeah, that's the only thing because I can't imagine that they would be any different in their stance.
Yeah. So it remains to be seen if that is actual. Because WWE, or we'll still call them E, they haven't said anything themselves. But and I don't know if that's a credible source or not. Kayfabe news doesn't
I
sound
don't
credible.
I don't think it is.
But
I'm not seeing anything Triple
eh,
H.
actually, we'll scratch that story. We'll wait for.
No, we already said it.
We're gonna wait for someone real to say it.
Can you imagine though if yeah, he said who the fuck is Logan Paul? Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on that story. Not saying it's wrong, but you may have been bamboozled.
I got clickbaited.
Maybe.
Yeah, let's cut that story out. We're gonna cut that out. Let me clap so I know where to cut out.
It was
All
like that
right.
one story that I sent you where God, somebody
We
was
should have done
mad.
the Miami story.
Oh, we did. Oh,
I was saying we should have.
We got 43 seconds, but Stephen Ross got fined. Um, they wanted the Dolphins wanted Tom Brady to come in as an executive, possibly a quarterback, somebody in the front office. They got in trouble for tampering because they talked to him when he was still a Patriot and a Buccaneer. And then they got dinged for tampering with Sean Payton before he retired with the Saints. They talked to his agent about being the head coach with the Dolphins. Sean Payton then announces his retirement. Then the Dolphins want to talk to him, and Saints say no, go fuck yourselves. Then it turns out that they talked to him anyway. And then I guess the 2019 season they were supposed to have tanked, so they got their a better draft pick, which they drafted Tua in 2020, who they've been shitting on since they got him. So I can't imagine there's that much weight to that. But the owner did get fined. They did determine that the Dolphins did talk to other people from other teams, violating the tampering rules. But the tanking, they didn't find any substantial evidence. I guess throughout the season, the owner was emphasizing the draft position over their record, which, if I had a shitty team, like who was their quarterback? Ryan Tannehill. After year 5.
By the way, Ryan Tannehill, who's constantly making the playoffs with the Titans.
Yeah, but
So
he didn't.
there you
He
go.
didn't with the Dolphins.
He could have.
He could have, but he didn't.
I think he was very short term there.
I felt like he was there for like four 4 years.
But shows it was just a bad system. If you won, I don't know. I kind of like the Miami head coach right now.
I don't know
Um,
who it is.
so you said they're not going to have a draft pick this year.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so the owner got fined, so the president got fined, and then they lost a draft. They lost 2 draft picks. One first round for 23, and I think like a third or fourth round for 24. So I think the one is going to ding them pretty hard. The second one, they won't feel.
Yeah, that's some stuff. Miami. I mean, the it was good people they went after.
Yeah,
So
I
there's
guess. I
that.
mean,
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
I guess it kind of depends because if they were just gonna have Brady be, yeah, he was with Miami for 6 seasons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons.
Mm. And now all he does is make the playoffs.
Yeah, 7-9, 8-8, 8-8, 6-10, 8-5. I guess he didn't play in 2017. 5-6, and then he goes to Tennessee 7-3, 11-5, 12-5.
Yep. Mike Vrabel knows how to use him.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But go ahead.
Just we'll see what happens with the Dolphins. I don't think there's much to it, especially now. I mean, with the owner's not there, big whoop. Owner got fined a couple $1 million, big whoop. Draft pick, I think, is the only thing that's going to really sting for him. But yeah, Brian Flores didn't fucking snitch. None of that would have happened.
Yeah, he's pretty much coaching. He's getting himself out of ever being a head coach.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, it'll be racist.
Of course. Well, they're already doing they're still doing that lawsuit, that racial discrimination lawsuit. So we'll see what happens with
Oh,
that.
with the Texans.
No, Brian Flores, when he got fired, basically say he got fired because of racism.
Oh, did he drop the one with the Texans? Because he was suing the Texans for
Oh, right.
not
No,
running.
it was the Giants.
Oh,
Because the Bill Belichick texted Brian Flores, thinking it was Brian Dabble, congratulating him.
oh,
Uh, yeah,
emotional distress or some shit.
I guess. I don't know.
Like,
I
oh
just,
man, for those 2 seconds, I thought I had the job.
but
You're gonna pay for that.
Brian Flores did okay in Miami, but Marty Schottenheimer did okay with the Chargers, and they still fired him. So having a good record or not sucking isn't enough to keep your job all the time.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I think we had actually gone over. That doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of information, so
We did.
that's gonna do it for this show.
That is it for this show.
Um, Again, if you agree with anything, comment below. If you disagree with anything, comment below. Hit the like button.
And nobody's
And
going to disagree with anything because we're always on point.
yeah, everything was based on 100% factual information, so there's
Yep.
nothing to disagree with.
Nope.
But
But in the event
until
that
next
you're going
time,
to try to, go ahead and comment.
yeah, and tell us in the comments why I won't be watching the Panthers game. I guarantee you don't know the answer. But
All right, folks.
But on that note, have yourself a good night or
Good
good
night.
morning or whatever.